Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the APOYOnline logo launch program on this 22nd of October, 2022. My name is Francisco Vieira. I'm currently the Vice President of APOYOnline and talking to you from Washington, DC. We have a program today that's the culmination of many months of work, interactive work among volunteers, inspired by a brilliant artist that you are going to meet during the program. I'd like to ask everyone to subscribe to our APOYOnline YouTube channel to keep in touch with us more frequently, and as a way for us also to receive your comments and feedback. I will invite now Amparo Rueda, co-founder of APOYOnline and current president, and Beatriz Raspo, executive director of APOYOnline, to walk with us through the history of the institution. Amparo and Beatriz, please.
Thank you, Francisco. Amparito, your microphone.
Gracias, Francisco. Thank you very much, everyone. I would like to thank you, everyone who has participated in this very long process. Everyone has been extremely generous with their time, and we have worked very well. The board of Apoyo, all the group of volunteers, and especially Alice Garambone, who is the brilliant mind behind the design of the new logo. I am not able to talk very much because I have a problem in my throat, so I give the floor to Beatriz.
Thank you very much, Amparo, and everybody involved in this process. So at this time, I'm going to ask Leah to share a presentation that we have. And we are going to talk a little bit about APOYOnline, the launching process, and how we came to this event right now. Next, Leah, please. So APOYOnline, Association for Heritage Preservation of the Americas, is a grassroots nonprofit organization whose mission is to build communication bridges, promote professional development, and create pathways for the preservation of cultural heritage in the American continent and in Portuguese and Spanish-speaking countries. Our vision is to connect, empower, and transform. Next, please. Our story began in 1989 to try to overcome the lack of technical conservation information in Spanish and Portuguese in Latin America, and also the professional isolation from our colleagues on the continent. As you can see here, this is an example of our first newsletter that was sent by mail. Today, over 33 years later, we have 6,000 professionals connected across the continent and also in Spanish and Portuguese speaking countries, and over 1,200 people from 31 countries that have received specialized training through our multilingual events. Our main programs include professional development, access to technical information through translations of reference text, strengthening regional connections through regional conferences, and special initiatives and scholarship programs. Everything within the greater function of APOYOnline, which is to be the network that builds connections for preserving the heritage of the region, and whose work has been carried out exclusively by hundreds of volunteers for more than 3 decades. The first newsletters you can see here with the first logo of Apoyo were sent and distributed on paper. Next, please. Here, our organization has grown from a small group of visionary people that you have here, that Toby Raphael is here, Amparo, to a group of formidable volunteers and an entity that is uniting thousands of professionals. Next. I also want to pay tribute to Scarlett and Ann Seibert, who also participated at the very beginning of APOYOnline and continue to do so. Next, please. In 2009, we registered as a nonprofit entity in the United States, which gave us greater flexibility to raise funds in this country. As a result, we expanded our special initiatives, professional education, and created training scholarship programs, which I will talk about later. More recently, in 2020 and now again in 2022, we received grants from the Mellon Foundation, which allowed us to expand our organizational capacity and programs. The Mellon support represents indeed a recognition of our long-standing efforts in the region. Next, please. APOYOnline has been expanding fundraising activities and bilateral agreements to carry out multilingual conferences and workshops in the region and to offer scholarships to participants. Here you see some of our grantees, and today we have over 1,200 people who have benefited from those grants. Next, please. We continue to connect thousands of people through technical workshops, including topics in emergency preparedness, photographic conservation, also leadership, team building, communication. And more recently, we are connecting people through our masterclass series that will continue in these years to come. These opportunities to share professional information have resulted in many alliances and joint projects among professionals of the Northern and Southern hemispheres, enlarging and strengthening the network created. These trainings are carried out through collaborations, some of them of more than 25 years old, with various American and Latin American institutions and professionals. Next, please. Over the years, APOYOnline has also led special initiatives to help Latin American Caribbean institutions in times of crisis, for example, during natural disasters, as we just saw in Puerto Rico and Cuba. Here, for example, in 2019, we carried out a campaign to give preservation materials to support the National Museum of Brazil rescue and recovery initiatives. Next, please. After many years of bringing professionals to train in the United States, we decided to expand the number of beneficiaries and to organize regional events in Latin America. We have organized 4 regional conferences and many local workshops since 2016. Our first conference was in Medellin, Colombia. Then in 2018 in La Antigua, Guatemala, with the team Emergency Management in Cultural Heritage. The third conference was also the 30th anniversary conference of APOYOnline, and it took place in Rio de Janeiro in 2019. And we had over 200 participants in person. And the fourth conference, which numbers you see here in this slide, was the first time we did a virtual conference, and it took place in November 2021 with participation of 31 countries. And the numbers here exemplify the success of the conference, highlighting the cultural patrimony also of the Dominican Republic. I want to point here that 62% of the participants were students, and they all got grants to attend the conference and the workshops that were also related to the conference. Next, please. APOYOnline continues to expand access to information through the newsletter, as well as through technical translations of key reference material into Spanish and Portuguese. As I said, mainly on risk management, emergency preparedness, preventive conservation, photographic conservation, among others. And more recently, we also published a new version of the framework of the preservation of heritage collections from the Canadian Conservation Institute, a poster that one side is in Spanish, the other in Portuguese, and is available for purchase in our webpage. But in times of COVID-19, we also worked a lot to bring information to our community. We published the video from the National Park Services with narration in Portuguese and Spanish, and translated the test results and bibliographic information from the REON project, Reopening Archives, Library and Museums project, which researched the longevity of the coronavirus in each type of material. All this important material is available on our webpage. And we feel very honored and happy to see that the impact of these translations has been useful to the safety of our Portuguese and Spanish speaking community. Next, please. We have 2 scholarship programs for professional development in Latin America in memory of Toby Rafael and Jose Urraca. They both played a vital role in the history of Apoyo, and both passed away over 10 years ago. Toby was an objects conservator at the National Park Services and director of APOYOnline, and he played a decisive role in promoting professional development and education in Latin America. Jose Urraca was one of the founders of APOYOnline, along with Amparo Rueda, and he was also one of the leaders in photographic conservation in the United States. These scholarship programs have been responsible for the participation of hundreds of students and emerging professionals in our conferences and workshops. This makes us really, really proud because APOYOnline is continuing to transform the new generation of professionals, our future colleagues. Next, please. In more than 33 years of history, we have built a very active network to support professionals in the region, which continues to grow and generate more networks in each country. This is very gratifying to us because APOYOnline functions as a godmother of many of these networks and new connections, which were actually born during our activities. Next, please. APOYOnline has a special community initiative carried out in the city that receives our conferences called Manos a la Obra, or Helping Hands, in which participants have the opportunity to help a local institution with basic collections care activities to preserve selected collections on a voluntary basis. In 2018, we work at the Municipal Historic Archive in the city of La Antigua in Guatemala. In 2019, here in the picture, you see the public archives of the state of Rio de Janeiro, where we work with books, photographs, and negatives, and with material fully delivered to this initiative through APOYOnline. And in 2021, during the conference, we did this virtually for the very first time. We work with technicians from the Biblioteca Ateneo Amantes de la Luz, and in collaboration with ACRA, Assembly of Conservators and Restorers of Argentina, to teach mechanical cleaning, rehousing, preparation for digitization, and emergency plan. In that event, over 50 people participated, and it was the first time the technicians of the library received training in preventive conservation. Next. So I want to pass the word now to Francisco Vieira for the continuation of our program.
Thank you, Beatriz. I'll turn around and ask you to stay with us. I would like you to introduce to us the artist behind the new logo, naturally to present the new logo as well, and to talk a little bit about the future. Where do we go next as an organization? Please.
Thank you very much, Francisco. So the idea of the logo is the result of the years of APOYOnline and the growth of the organization. Once we got the grant from the Mellon Foundation in 2019, our core team expanded tremendously, and actually like 3 or 4 folds. And we engaged a large number of volunteers, and also in different from different generations actually. And this started the process of reviewing our history and where we want to go next. So it actually very naturally, the question came up to look at Apoyo branding and see how we would get the image of Apoyo for the future, to make it even more impactful than it is right now. So we gathered a group of people. Of course, the board was definitely involved in this. We were thinking about our first strategic planning, and the core team, which was about 25 people at the time, and started discussing about the possibility of a new logo, of a new brand of APOYOnline that would also convey our mission and our values. And part of our team was Alice Ganamboni, a volunteer and also designer, who I want to invite to this conversation. Alice.
Well, hi, everyone. My name is Alice. I'm an artist from Brazil, but I also work as a designer. And I spent a lot of months working very closely with Apoyo on this new logo and running proposal in general, because it was a very, well, I think it was a very, it was a rebranding in a great scale. We were thought, well, we thought about the site again, the logics of the site, and it was very nice to work with Apoyo doing this work.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask Leah to change for the next slide. So Alice, I think we are gonna do like gonna ask a few questions to help us and also our viewers understand about this process. Here we see the 3 logos from the history of APOYOnline, and I just want to start with the question of how did you get involved with APOYOnline?
Yeah, so I'm actually a visual arts student in UERJ, the State University of Rio de Janeiro. And I developed an interest in working with academic publications in arts. And in this process, I met Gabriela Lúcio, who's an acting conservator, and she and me and her together, we worked in a magazine called Revista Desvio about art, memory, and other themes of conservation and arts together, which is when I got more involved with conservation in general. And she had heard and was joining this project, and she invited me on too, since we had such a great time working together in Revista Desvio. So I promptly accepted, especially because, well, we were in a pandemic, and I think the thing I wanted to do the most was to get my hands on something and use the time that I had at that moment to do something nice, and maybe would add to other people as well.
So I'm going to ask Leah to change the next slide. For example, this is the history. When we started when we incorporated, we came up with this logo, right? So from this logo, can you tell us what inspired you to move to the next one, and what is the symbolism that you wanted to convey as well?
Yeah, for sure. So when I first met APOYOnline, this was the logo that I saw for the first time, and it was my first look at Apoyo and my first impression of Apoyo. And when we were talking together, we realized that there was a lot of good things about this logo, but there's a lot of things that, well, with the current times and what kinds of images are being shared right now, and what kind of images people identify with the most right now, there maybe could be some things to update. So the first thing we thought was, well, let's identify what works and what doesn't. And some of the things that we thought about was how warm and round and the logo was, and how that could suggest affection and unity, which are core values of Apoyo. So that was pretty much it. And we also thought about the colors as well, which we had Apoyo. Well, we had like legacy colors of the red, white, and black, which are very pretty colors. In fact, it was gray, not black. So what we thought was that maybe we could make those colors a little bit more standard. Think of, okay, what's the Apoyo red? What's the Apoyo gray? And some of the, well, here's another very important keyword in the process, which was connections. Because when I was talking with Beatriz and the other members of the core team, I think we tried to think about what word could summarize Apoyo. And I think that the best word we thought was connections. And I think that has a lot to do with what Beatriz has already presented with the networking capability. Everything that Apoyo has brought to everyone who has been involved with it, and how we have met so many people, and how maybe without it we wouldn't have the connections that we have today and the opportunities that we have today. So here we thought about some other things that we some other new things that we wanted to include in the logo that maybe weren't present in the old logo. So we wanted something simple, wanted something that maybe could be written quickly in a note, memorized by anyone, something printable that could be very readable when it printed it, and very easily. Wasn't anything complicated, and something timeless as well. which of course that is difficult to make something truly timeless, but we try our best. And I think at least we did something that reflects a lot our time today.
So let's see how it turned out.
Yeah, so that's the new APOYOnline logo that we made together. Of course, I was the one to draw it, but it was a great effort. How can I say it? It's been a while since I've last spoken English like this, so
You're doing very well.
well, yeah. It was a joint effort basically, because I made a lot of versions in the beginning, and we brought them over to the core meetings that we regularly have, to see what the people who worked with APOYOnline felt about it, what resonated with them, which images that were working better than the others. And from that, we advanced to, well, we mix and match some options, we thought some improvements, and that's the version we reached, which I think I'm very satisfied with, and I think everyone is as well. And we can see, well, here's some different versions of the logo, that for different, of course, occasions. And here we can see the icon that I've designed for Apoyo, and I think we managed to reach the simplicity and the timelessness and everything, because it was very developed from the keyword connections and how I could simply represent connections in a minimalist manner. So this cross hair or something like that with little points, they suggest a starting point, something that is to come, but as well the connections that also cross with what were before and the future ones. So I think it doesn't close anything. It's very open, and I think I don't know, I think it's inspiring in some way, but it could be me reading too much into it, but I think that's my job as a designer.
Right. No, I think definitely the logo has, so you capture the connections that we already have, and we talked about this. So those are the dots connections that we already have, but then the open connections that are here to come and bring the future into this, right?
Yeah.
So I have another question for you then, so we can see how other versions of the logo are also available in the meantime. So how was this experience for you to work in this collaborative process, in this interactive process with the board of Apoyo and the core team? How was this for you during the creation process?
Well, I think it was very enjoyable, and it was very interesting as well. It was very much a new experience, because I am very much an artist. I study arts, and designing has been something I've done, well, sort of as a second job, something to pay the bills. But it's also something very interesting to study, especially because of how people react to it, which is also something that is present in art. And I think that the nicest thing was to make a project from scratch, and to be able to build it together with a lot of people to make something that reflected them. Because while I was a very new member of Apoyo when I got in, there was a lot of people who were there for a lot of time. It's always very interesting to see those old pictures of Beatriz and Amparo and all the history behind Apoyo. So it was very important to me to make something that those people thought that reflected them as well. So it was very enjoyable, especially because I thought that you guys enjoyed the results a lot, and I was very happy to be able to help you guys with this new Apoyo image.
Thank you. Leah, next slide, please. And then here we'll see some little variants. So can you talk a little bit about the variants and how you think we should be using them in the future?
Oh yeah, of course. So I always like, well, it's very much when you go see any branding books and things like that, of there's always a lot of options for printability and things like that. Because if we make always the same logo, always the same thing, it gets a little boring. So it's always nice to make some rules and suggestions. So the images are always fresh and nice. And these are one of them. I really like the solid color with a white text in front. I think it's very beautiful, and I tried to bring this as well to Apoyo with this dark gray and this very beautiful red that we chose. And well, yeah.
Very nice indeed, Alice. So we are very fortunate to have you working as an Apoyo volunteer, as an Apoyo member. And then for that, in appreciation, we have a certificate for you. So this is the certificate. So this is the slide right now. But we really want to appreciate you and for your contributions.
I'm very thankful. It's very nice to be recognized like this. I'm very thankful that you guys like well, I don't know, like working with me, and also like the results of our work together.
So it's wonderful. So we are very pleased on behalf of Apoyo board. We thank you.
Thank you
for participating in this event.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Leah, please, next slide. So since we have a new logo, we also want to talk about what's next and what's going on right now at APOYOnline. Next, please. So our work continues, right? So there is so much to be done, and there is always a lot to be done. We are always involving more volunteers to work on special projects and publications, special events, social media, IT, everything. And we finished our very first strategic plan that goes until 2026, whose title is Connect, Empower, and Transform. And one of the main goals of the strategic plan is to continue to work with the community, for the community, and through the community to better care for our common cultural property. We have also established, with the help and support of the Mellon Grant, 2 paid internship programs that will help during those 2 years for internships to work on APOYOnline projects and projects in the region. As a result, of course, of the Mellon support, we rebranded our logo and also our webpage. And we look forward to hearing from you with your suggestions and your opinion, because APOYOnline is always evolving. And we are always looking for more collaborations and partnerships to continue translations, professional development, and other special initiatives. Next, please. So the support of the Mellon Grant has been very critical to the development and professionalism of our institution. And we are very grateful for the trust that the Mellon Foundation has placed in APOYOnline. Our core team is a key part of this success that we have had, and those are 25 extraordinary people, passionate and to our mission, and from many countries, like 11 countries, whom I take the opportunity right now to thank very much for their engagement. Next, please. Our working groups are very active, and here you see examples of working groups we have. So if you want to join APOYOnline as a volunteer, we would like to encourage you to participate in Apoyo and also use our network as your platform to connect with colleagues in the region. And those working groups are also a very good opportunity to expand collaborations, to also promote professional development and encourage a greater diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility in cultural heritage. Next, please. The challenges for sustainable preservation in the region are many, and we know that because we are here and we continue working for that, especially when we talk about professional development and connections, right? But APOYOnline believes that there are real opportunities for collaborations to preserve our history and keep connections alive. So our mission remains relevant. Next. So our vision is to connect, empower, and transform. We believe that the preservation of cultural heritage is valued and transformed by individuals and communities, empowered through knowledge and connections. This has been the mission of APOYOnline and the vision for over 33 years right now. We are transforming people through our connections. And with that, I would like to pass to Francisco to move to the next part of our program. Thank you.
Thank you, Beatriz. And a special thanks to Alice for sharing her talent with us and for the gift we received from her talent. I will insist, using Beatriz's words, that you join us, that you volunteer to help APOYOnline grow, become stronger, and even more relevant in the region. We now open to questions. You can access our YouTube transmission to write down your questions. We have technical people that will be passing the questions on to other people to answer. And it's available starting now.
Thank you, Francisco, very much for allowing the question portion of the streaming to begin. I have a few questions over here already. And so I would like to, the first one is for Beatriz, Amparo, or the members of the board. And it says, why did you decide to embark in this logo journey now?
Well, this is a very good question. And I think this is a result of an evolving process. We, in 2009, so we had the first logo at the very beginning. And then we had the incorporation phase of APOYOnline that start professionalizing APOYOnline. And we had this other logo that kept the original Apoyo. And then we had the online because we incorporated with that name. And I think it became a natural process over the years that we reached a point where we needed to see what is the future? What are we going to be doing in the future? So this question starts coming to our mind when we reach the 30th anniversary, really, you know, so sometimes you start reflecting on what you have done and if this is still relevant and what can you still do. So the logo change, the branding of Apoyo is not only the logo, but the entire branding of the webpage and how we're going to present ourselves started to take form, place, and discussions, and more people came on board. And this was really a very interactive process. And I just see that it culminated with the logo change at this point in our life. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Beatriz. And then I have a couple like more operational type of questions. So first one is, if people want to use the logo for a presentation or for a poster, which one should they use? Because you showed a lot of different variants.
Right. We have the official logo of APOYOnline has the name of the organization in the 3 languages. But the logo that people can use, depending on where is going to be used, that's going to be discussed, right? So we can discuss with us. Usually, it would be the one that you see APOYOnline, as you see on the, let's see, we'll go back and check the one more. Yeah, this one. So as you can see in this slide, this is like a more lean with the name of APOYOnline. But for example, for official documents, we are going to use the full name. And also for social media, we have just sometimes the lines that will represent APOYOnline. But you talk to us and then we'll see how best to fit what you need with the logo. Thank you, Leah.
And together with that same question is, so where do people get that logo?
So you can write to info@apoyonline.org, and then we will communicate with you to have access to the logo.
Thank you, Beatriz. I have another question that is for Alice, actually. The question is, because you were talking about the creative process and how wonderful everything is, but what were the challenges of designing this logo?
Well, a lot of people don't know this, but design work takes a lot of time because besides working a lot on each version, there's usually so many versions. So you guys are seeing the final result, but you guys have no idea how many files are in my folder. You guys. So because it's so clean and so nice, so it's very, usually people assume it's very quick to do, but it's not. It was a lot of hours of hard work. So, well, I hope you guys appreciate it, because, well, I'm happy with the results, and I think it was worth it.
We are very happy.
Thank you, Alice. And this is another question for the board. How does the logo tie in with the strategic plan?
So if members of the board wants to join in that response,
No, please talk. I can't.
I will talk. Okay. Put me aside to talk. So in fact, the logo captures the strategic plan very, very well, because during the process of establishing the strategic plan was also part of this process to think about our branding, of our image. So the logo and the strategic plan were always connected. And the lines of the logo, they connect. So the strategic plan is about connecting and then transforming, which we already start doing from within. So we started transforming APOYOnline, our image, from within. And then empower, meaning that we hope to inspire other people to do the same. So the strategic plan and the logo are totally connected.
Thank you, Beatriz. This is another question, because you mentioned something, not in passing, but you mentioned it. And so we have people curious about the internships for APOYOnline and how people can become an intern.
So APOYOnline has, first, as I mentioned, through the Mellon Foundation, the internship programs that we have established for the next years. We have calls for interns depending on the projects, and then the calls will be available on our social media and our webpage for the projects that we are planning to post. But we also want to hear from our community. If you have a project that you're interested in working on your country or making collaborations with other countries, please write to us and we will evaluate this for a possible internship as well. So it's this two ways, right? And we have done this in the past. In fact, we had a pilot project, a non-paid internship, like 2 internships in 2020. And one of them was also a collaboration between a project in the United States and another project in Colombia, and this was the internship program. So I just want to exemplify that we want to hear from you what you want the programs to be, and this is how APOYOnline has been working all its life, based on the needs of our community, on the asks of our community, and then we want to make this happen. So please talk to us and be on the look for internship calls as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Beatriz. And the last question that I have, at least for now, is how, because APOYOnline was doing a lot of events and other things during the pandemic. A lot of things were happening online, and with, you know, it's part of the name as well. But what's the goal for the future now that the pandemic is, you know, on its tail end?
Yeah, I think we are all institutions are working and thinking the same thing and then having the same challenge. We know from experience, and this has been a long experience, that meeting in person is extremely important. And then you build other connections and other rapport that you unfortunately cannot build through a little screen, right? But at the same time, we know and we have experienced that the pandemic brought this possibility of us connecting with a lot of people through the online platforms and then the social media, the ones that we have right now. So we want to continue using the benefits of both. And lots of programs will continue online if we need to reach a large quantity of people, but we also want to do hybrid programs, continue to go and do conferences in person in Latin America, workshops, continue the Manos a la Obra in person with the communities that need. But if needed, if by any reason this is not possible, we know we can also do this online. So the future of APOYOnline, I think, is a hybrid future, and we want to benefit from these possibilities as much as possible.
Thank you so much, Beatriz. That was the last question that we had for all of you.
Then I will ask Mariana to stay with us. Mariana, looking at this slide that we see now, and I know that you have been involved with all the social media channels that we have. I'd like you to invite our viewers to join us. I'd like you to comment on our experience using these channels, please.
Of course. One of the things that we have embraced a lot, yes, because of COVID, but also because of the history of APOYOnline, that it started with the newsletter and ways to communicate broadly. We really have embraced the power of social media. And here you can see all the different ways in which you can connect with us, whether it's on LinkedIn or YouTube, like you're doing right now. You can check our website and learn a lot of things that we have done in the past, but also you can get a lot of the translations, which we are pretty famous for. But also you can interact with us a lot on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, especially because as we were saying before, it's about connections, but it's also about empowering the communities and transforming the way in which we care for cultural heritage together. And so by using these social media platforms, we hope that people will interact with us. They will tag us whenever they see something that is cool, that they are excited about, or a talk that is interesting, or a project that someone's been doing and they want us to broadcast it to the world. We can do that. We can be that voice to help, broadcast amazing projects that our community are doing every single day. And so we want you not only to like and share what we post, but also to make this your organization. So please tag us and please include us so we can, expand even more your voice,
Comments on language?
Oh, we take all three. So Spanish, Portuguese, and English. That's what we do. We have people that speak all three languages in our group, and we very much enjoy interacting in all three languages. So don't be shy. If you think that, oh no, I can do this in English because, I don't speak it very often, it doesn't matter. Tag us in Spanish, tag us in Portuguese. We will definitely be sharing. And if you want us to, tell the English speaking world, if that little post, we can also say that in English as well. And so you don't have to do the work. We will do that when we share the post.
Thank you so much, Mariana. I understand we have one final slide. There it is. And I will ask Beatriz and Amparo to comment on that, both of you or just one of you. And then I think it's time to wrap up. I'd like you both, in this case, Beatriz and Amparo, to say goodbye and thanks to our viewers. Please.
Thank you, Francisco. And before we do, please support APOYOnline. We are a nonprofit organization, and we have done all this work throughout the years with the support of donors and institutions and collaborators, and for whom we want to thank very much. We could not have done this without you. So any support is much, much, much appreciated. Leah, please next. Amparo, would you like to say a few words before I finish?
Yes, there's another way you can support us. A lot of people are using Amazon now for their purchases. If you choose Amazon Smile, and if you add APOYOnline Association for Heritage Preservation of the Americas as your main charity that you want to support, you can do that. And they will give you, if you buy things through Amazon Smile, a few cents will go to us. So it's every cent counts. Thank you very, very much, everyone. I really appreciate your help and your support. And we are very happy that we have now a beautiful new logo.
So, and the beautiful new logo has many meanings. As we talked about the dots with the connections that we have already established and that made us who we are. The open ends of the line that are representing the new connections that we are going to be doing and the new initiatives we're going to be doing. But it also brings an image of embracing. I think this logo also means embracing our vision, embracing our community, embracing what the community needs. APOYOnline is here to listen and to see how we can support what the community really needs for cultural heritage of the entire region. So I want to say that the developing process of the logo was really a remarkable experience for the organization and for all those involved. And it showed a clear example of our shared values of inclusion, equity, participation, and collaboration, and appreciating everyone's input through the process. And we appreciate you today for being here as well. So on behalf of APOYOnline,
Thank you very much.